I've got a map, if I can find it, of where they're buying this land, and it's around U.S. military installations. They're buying up land around U.S. military installations, and so,
dude, Dr. Phil is so aggressive with his takedowns on YouTube that like I got a little scared clicking on this video, thinking that it was a Dr. Phil video and that he was going to DMCA me. Like immediately. My brain is so cooked from knowing who is like really bad and who's really good with DMCA shit. Rogan and Dr. Phil explain why UBI doesn't work and why the problem isn't income inequality, but income equality. Wait, what? Around U.S. military installations is so funny. It's like, bro, where... Like, the Chinese can't buy fucking farmland anywhere then because the U.S. military installations are everywhere, dog. The fuck?
When you look at the amount of land that they're buying, it's not all that much. I mean, it's a lot of land, but given as much land as there is, it's like maybe less than 1%. But when you look at it strategically around military installations, it's really concerning, and then when
I love that it just shows like Canadian owned and then Chinese owned right next to one another. They show like how much more Canadian owned land exists.
You look at what's happening at those military installations that they have land around, like B-2 stealth bomber train.
Dude, this is my favorite type of guy who thinks that like he's tapped in to like some secret information that the American federal government is not privy to. Like, dog, if you can make this up, if you can make this out on your own, you think the fucking military doesn't know? That's so awesome. He's like, yeah, the Chinese are buying military bases. They're buying the land around military bases, okay? It's really fucked up. Someone needs to inform the American government of this monstrosity. What are the Chinese planning? Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they were so oblivious to this and thought that this was genuinely devastating and genuinely terrifying.
Training, drone training and all. It's very, very troubling.
God, it's so strategic where it's all placed.
Yeah, if I can get a hold of that map and show it to you.
It's kind of crazy that the United States has been invaded. And when did that start?
The United States has been invaded.
With the purchase of farmland.
You know, it's been going on.
For how long? Like when did it? So this is talking about. Son owns 40% of Chinese-owned land in the U.S. He owns over 100,000 acres of land in Valverde County, Texas. Although his two companies, Brazos Highland Properties and Harvest Texas, through his two companies. His purchases in 2016, 2017, his plans to build a wind farm, as well as his purported ties to Chinese military, drew scrutiny in Texas several years after his acquisitions. He ultimately was denied permission to proceed with his wind farm plans. So they own the land, but they won't let him proceed with the wind farm.
Wait, what the fuck? So they sold the land to him, but they were like, you can't use it. Renewable energy, get the fuck out of here, brother. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're building a wind farm where it's not very windy. But it does butt up against a strategic military installment.
What a coincidence. This is the best land that was available.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, how would that be possible here under logical laws? Because in China, you can't do that. They're smart. You can't just buy their land.
We absolutely cannot buy farmland there.
No, you can't buy their businesses either.
Now, we had a man on talking about this, a farmer, and he said they also own the grain elevator where we sell our grain. the Chinese own that. The Chinese government owns that. So, and I said Chinese government. Chinese own that. Now, is it the government? Is it a government agent who owns it? He said it's Chinese owned and controlled. If they decide to stop buying his grain, I said, what happens? He said, well,
Fucked.
we're out of business.
Yeah. And then you take that, on top of that, the topsoil crisis in this country.
Yeah.
They've got like 60 more crops left.
Yeah.
Unless they do something radical to change
Yeah. And again, I want to be real careful about how I talk about this because I'm not trying. Look, we have so many Chinese Americans here that are wonderful people that contribute so much. I don't want to say anything to create any animus against these people or Chinese people in general. So many of these people are trying to get away from the Chinese Communist Party. They're just trying to get away from them. How they're getting out, I don't know. It's a long way and it's expensive. And you don't just wake up in China and say, I think I'll take a vacation. That's not how that works. You got to get a visa, right? You got to get permission to leave. You got family back there. I don't know how they're getting out, but I know that we've got an awful lot coming across our southern border. And when military-aged Chinese men are showing up at the border, and it's mostly in California where they're showing up, and it's an awful lot. You really,
Wild.
You really have to wonder. You really do have to wonder.
Did you ever think you'd be in a position where you'd be talking like this?
No.
Because it sounds conspiratorial, right?
It does sound conspiratorial, and I deal with psychological issues, but these are issues that are on people's mind now. They're saying, I'm anxious about this. It bothers me. I feel like my family is under attack here.
He's talking about the Chinese people coming in through the Mexican border. Yeah, except like those guys aren't buying the land. Those guys are unironically like running away because the reality is that most of the Chinese people that are either members of the party and like very wealthy, their descendants, their children come and like study here, make lives here, you know what I mean, are here through legal means. And those are ironically the Chinese people that may or may not have connections to the Chinese government. Not that it matters, because obviously who the fuck cares? What do you think? Like they're invading secretly and not just living their lives in the same way that you would? Like there's no monolithic Chinese plight. Yeah, it's the old joke that China could never nuke the US because all their future leaders are in Ivy League dorms right now. Is true. It literally, it is. It's basically the Okinawa, no, not Okinawa, sorry. It's basically the Kyoto Protocol for the American government, where like the Secretary of War or whatever was like, yeah, we can't nuke, we can't drop an atomic bomb on Kyoto because I went there for, I went there on my honeymoon and it was beautiful. So let's just drop it on Hiroshima instead. By the way, that's like Oppenheimer bat chest, but that's real. There's a real thing that happened. What the fuck do you mean? Why are you bat chesting something that genuinely did occur? Anyway, Americans love being in a state of paranoid panic where whether it's trans people, Muslims, or Chinese people, they just love demonizing people. My friend, it is one of the fundamentals of fascism. You always have to have an enemy, an outsider that you have to fight. Because ultimately, when you're done fighting with the outsiders, then you're going to have to inevitably reduce your numbers internally. Like it's the Hitlerian principle of basically turning around and inevitably tightening up your ranks until your population, if you had succeeded, your population would resemble the Ubermensch. Anyway.
We don't have the peace of mind that we used to have. We don't have the, even farmers are saying, this is troubling to us. We don't know what to do.
Have any of you traveled outside of America? All countries have cultural enemies. Yeah, except the people that treat, the people that succumb to the moral panic, like the whipped up, astroturfed hysteria of trans people, Muslims, Chinese people, whatever the fuck, are always universally motherfucking reactionaries. That's the whole point. That's it. So yes, everybody has that because everybody's got a little bit of a reactionary slant at the end of the day. That's how this shit works, dog. Like, everyone has an enemy. You have an enemy in the top of the hour ad break.
Do about this.
Yeah.
We don't know how to feel about it. We don't know what to say about it.
I think you know how to feel about it. That's why you're bringing it up here. Jikri, thank you for the 5. Get the subs.
And nobody's talking about this. Well, I'm talking about it.
Well, I'm glad you are. Because if not, we'll be talking about when it's too late. And we'll be saying, how the fuck did we not see this coming?
And what I want is, I think if people will start talking about it, people will hear us talking about it and say, these aren't crazy conspiracy guys. These are pretty commonsensical guys that are saying, we should just ask the questions. We should be asking, why isn't anybody asking the questions? And we're not the only people asking the questions, but we're certainly have big microphones to be asking the questions with.
It's just a complete failure of corporate media that they're not asking these questions.
Yeah, and that is the entire reason that I did this network, Merritt Street Media. Robin, and I was sitting at our kitchen bar at our house in California, and I was flipping back and forth between different news networks, and I was so frustrated. I said, why won't somebody just tell the truth? Why does everything have to be spin? Why didn't somebody...
Dude, honestly, that's what I'm always... I'm watching the same corporate media, and I'm always thinking to myself, why are they so pro-China? I think Dr. Phil and Joe Rogan only watch the HasanAbi broadcast 24 hours on repeat. And even I'm not pro-China, okay? Of course, I am the most pro-China person by American standards. But it's crazy. There is literal animosity. There's very real hysteria surrounding Chinese people, the Chinese government, in American news 24/7.
Somebody just say what's happening and let us do it. The media just won't say it straight. And she was sitting there eating, she didn't even look up. She just said, well, you are the media. And I thought, yeah, well, and she said, you have a bigger audience than those last 3 combined, so why don't you do something about it? And
Dr. Phil is going to do a special Chinese episode where he brings like Chinese Bad Babby or whatever the fuck and executes her live on television. Like, I'm doing this because no one else in the media would. You will answer for the crimes of the Chinese.
Yeah, it really kind of hit me hard, and I thought, why don't I do something about it? I mean, what?
He brings on fucking Yeonmi Park. He's like, you're a type of Chinese, right? You're some kind of Chinese. Same shit. Y'all communists. just like you're a communist, just like the Chinese is.
Why don't I create a platform to just ask the questions and tell the truth without all the spin and let people make up their own mind? I mean, somebody needs to say, have you thought about or did you know that last year 33,000 plus Chinese came across the border illegally? Did you know that? And I just want you to know and do with it as you will. And if it causes you to start asking questions and writing your congressman or asking questions of them, then great. But you ought to at least know this is happening. I don't want you to come up 5 years from now and say, well, nobody ever said anything to me. Well, yeah, they did. I raised my hand and I said it. And maybe it'll cause somebody else to say it and somebody else to say it.
Has anybody had a conversation with you about this that has an opposing perspective?
Oh, of course. I mean,
what is their perspective?
Their perspective is these aren't illegal immigrants. You can't. That's not kind to say they're illegal.
Okay.
Well,
well, we've always used that term for lack of a better term.
well, okay. So
Undocumented. What do you want to call them?
well, that's unkind. They're migrants, and I understand they want to be here. I don't begrudge them that. If I was living over there, under an oppressive government like that, I would want to be gone, and I totally get it. I would want to be out of there. I really do. I get that, but that doesn't change the fact that we have to pretend that we don't know what's going on.
I'm really glad that Dr. Phil is his show is done. So now he's doing his own thing. And in an effort to do his own thing, he's decided to cover things that the media not dare cover, which is, why are there questions like, why are there so many Chinese? I thought this was America and not communist China. By the way, the best part about this, which is always the case with like so much of the reactionary commentary, is that he still has yet to describe what the problem is. Like, what's the issue? And of course, he doesn't actually have to say it because everyone kind of gets it, right? That's how it works. He has yet to tell what the problem is. Like, I'm just asking questions about why the Chinese are buying so many farmland. And it's like, what do you mean? What is it? They're trying to do a Xinjiang to American Muslimans here, brother. I'm telling you.
We need to be aware of it. And if it means that we need to say, look, this is concerning. We shouldn't be selling farmland around military installations. There's a lot of land to buy. Wonder why they're buying it right up against military installations.
Have any politicians talked about this? Has Trump ever talked about this?
Not that I am aware of.
Why would that
he will
not
now.
be something he would bring up?
Well, you would certainly think he would.
Yeah. I mean, I know
How deep does the well go? Turns out Trump is also in the pocket of big Chinese food.
he's talked about the border, but I don't think he's talked about it in depth. Is it possible that he's not aware of it as far as the way you're aware of it?
Dog, he was the president. If this was a national security concern, do you think the president would not be aware of it? Oh my God. Oh my God, you're so dumb. Why are they so fucking stupid? I'm losing it, dude. Like, do you really think the motherfucking president of the United States of America, where both parties are stoking the fires of war against China anyway, if they did not consider this as a national security risk, Do you think that they would not have mentioned it? Like, especially Trump. Oh my God. Oh God. He's not stupid, bro. He's doing old school Alex Jones shit. To be fair, he didn't read the briefings. Yes, the only reason why this was not a problem, but maybe he will bring this up now, is because having this conversation now will make this a talking point. The press, or first it will be like the Tim Pools of the world being like, this massive conspiracy has been uncovered by the brave truth tellers of Dr. Phil and Joseph Rogan. And then it will inevitably, slowly but surely, if it is a good enough issue to fucking shit on, it will make its way to Fox News. And inevitably, Trump will talk about it because he reads the room like a motherfucker and realizes that this will be a fun issue to radicalize people around. And inevitably will talk about it. And then everyone will celebrate Dr. Phil. But of course, for bringing this up, but of course, if this was already a matter of national security, if this was a national security concern, it would never be allowed. The American government is obviously very afraid of Chinese interference. Do you really think that the American government is not like paying attention to things that this fucking bald asshole is able to find out on his own? That is a crazy take. How did he find out about it? I'm sure there was like some news broadcast that covered it.
God, how could he not?
How could he not be? But then again, the guy's got like 5 legal cases going on. He's running.
Yeah. Also, as Megaphonics pointed out, Joseph Robinette Biden has literally done more economic isolationist, economic protectionist, anti-China legislation that is actually pro-America and American manufacturing than motherfucking Trump has. So there is that reality as well. So the idea that like Joe Biden isn't sufficiently anti-China is a ridiculous one, but you know, that's besides the point.
Running for president. He's selling sneakers.
Yeah.
See his sneakers?
No, I saw
fresh.
that he was
I'm
selling.
getting a pair for Tony Hinchcliffe. They're perfect for him. They're gold. They're gold sneakers. He's got like 3 pairs. One's white, one's red. Yeah.
Wow, that's rough.
Hey, stop it, Jamie.
$400, that's like expensive.
Oh, I heard there was 5,000. That's what I think they're already sold out. They're selling them online for $5,000 because we were gonna wear them for Sober October.
Okay,
Look at those things. Look at these monstrosities.